Welcome everyone to the Proven Knowledge Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Church. I'm a music producer from Northeast Ohio. I began this weekly interview series to give you different perspectives from artists, producers, engineers, and other individuals in the music industry. In each episode, we touch on not only what has helped the person succeed, but we also touch on what has shaped them into the person that they are today. I hope you're able to gain some real proven knowledge from the show, and that it helps elevate you on your own journey to success as well. Let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 232 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today I welcomed a good friend of Jordan E420, Real Wolfgang, and OG Process. His name is Leo Laru. I've been seeing him put in a ton of work over the past year or so. We actually followed each other back this past summer, and he showed interest in being on the podcast. We made that happen this week. This was a shorter episode, but I still thought we got a lot out of this interview. Leo talked about being from a small town in Texas, what he's learned over the years recording, and being in different spots like Atlanta and Virginia, and the difference in contrast between the music cultures in all those different cities. And he talked about the importance of, what travel means to you as a creative and what it's meant to him specifically. We also discussed his project they dropped earlier this year called Jukebox Toons, the features on that, as well as a brand new EP just put out a few days ago, which at the time of this recording it'll be about a month later. But I encourage you to check out all of his works. He's put out a lot of music since 2017, a lot of great projects, a lot of cool features, things like that. And if you're just a fan of hip-hop, you're going to love what he's doing lyrically and production-wise. And I love what he said at the end about, learning things on his own, being able to be self-produced, have his own studio, things like that to save time and money, and overall just have a better quality product at the end of the day with the music that he's making. So I look forward to getting Leo back on the show very soon for part 2, and I'll be tapped in with everything he has going on moving forward. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. And without further ado, let's get into it. So welcome everyone to episode 232 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today we got another awesome artist, someone that is always dropping music, always staying busy. He's released a lot of projects since 2017. He's colleagues with OG Process, who we've had on this show a couple times. Everybody please welcome Leo Laru to the show. How you doing, man?
What's up, man?
Glad to have you here, man. Like I said, and thanks for wanting to be on the show. First off, and we usually have the guests kind of give some background on how they got started in music and pretty much some basic details for those that might not know you and what you do.
So how I got into music initially was I had a second grade talent show, and me and one of my friends in elementary school pretty much performed at the talent show. That's when I first found out that I love music. I used to go to the record store in Killeen called Renaissance Records, where my mom would take us like almost every weekend. We've met like Paul Wall, Chameleonaire, Changing Color Click. I think that's the name and stuff. I was too young to know, but they used to come there and sell the records and stuff like that. So that's how I initially got into music. So when I turned 16, my best friend Quest from BP, he's with Viewer the Club Records. And pretty much me and him just clicked. You know what I'm saying? Like me and him just clicked, and he started taking me to the studio. We started going to the studio together. And from that day on, we just never stopped.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I don't know much about Killeen. Is that near Houston? Is that like toward like southern Texas? Is that where that is?
No, that's central Texas.
Okay. See, I'm more familiar with northern
closer
Texas.
Closer to Austin, Texas.
Okay, yeah. See, I've never been that south. I've usually just been in the Dallas area, but coming from a town like that, what kind of influences were you kind of taking on and kind of listening to at that time, especially when you were, younger?
Well, so when I started going to the studio and stuff, like, I started getting, like, influenced more by, like, Flatbush Zombies, Joey Badass, Ice Cube, West Side Connection. Like, a lot of those cats right there kind of built the character that I am now.
Yeah. A lot of different types of styles too, which I can definitely hear in the tracks I've heard from you as well. And I also read that, you being from Texas, you also have had time in Georgia and Virginia as well, recording music and staying there for a while. So, what do you think has been the biggest difference when traveling abroad, or just traveling to other cities that you've noticed about like the creative space, or just is it important for you to be able to travel, to create, to kind of get inspiration that way?
Yes, absolutely. I'm not going to even lie. Traveling probably is the best thing for artists to do. I feel like when you travel and you see more things, you're able to talk about more things. But also, so I'm going to explain it like this. Like, when I went to Virginia was a total different scene. Like, something I've never seen before. Like, that's actually my first time, like, being, like, on the East Coast, like, somewhat. So for me, it was like, I'm seeing dudes battle at the barber shop and stuff. Like, I'm from Texas. Like, people battle rap, but I've never actually seen it like it's totally different. The culture is totally different from here and up there. And going to Atlanta, like being in Georgia and stuff, like traveling back and forth from Texas to Atlanta has like a great like atmosphere to me. As far as like music, food, anything that you could think of, like it's a great atmosphere.
Yeah. And I think all three spots, too, they have kind of their own budding music scene in their own different ways. Because obviously, I think a lot of people think of like LA and New York obviously being the staples, but then there's all these other places that have a lot of talent as well. So being able to kind of travel and experience those places and then kind of translate that to what you're doing, I can imagine that was definitely like super vital and super important on the journey. And just, even looking at your process as to where it is now, how do you think your writing has evolved, your recording has evolved over the past like 6 or 7 years? You've been putting out all these projects. Like, do you think you have felt yourself get more sharp in your pen and just kind of how you go about recording and writing, or how has that been for you?
I feel like every project I'm getting better. I'm never gonna say like I'm at my best every day.
Yep.
And like I could always be better.
And it's always something to strive for too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the goal as an artist, because you never do want to reach that summit, because then you'll end up plateauing. You always kind of want to have something new to strive for and to kind of reach for. So that's definitely a big thing, and congrats on that, because I think that's something that we kind of overlook as creatives. Just being able to do it, yeah, for sure. And just being able to do that is the gift in itself, and just continue to innovate and create. And I know you dropped a full body of work earlier this year called Jukebox Toons. So definitely want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about some of the other stuff you've dropped recently, because you just dropped an EP not too long ago as well. So just let us know about the music you put out this year and what that means in your catalog, and what these releases have meant to you overall.
Say that one more time. You were breaking up.
Oh, all good. I was just saying I'm talking about Jukebox Toons, which is the full project you put out earlier this year. Talking about that, and what else you put out this year in 2024, because I know you just dropped an EP as well. So let us know a little bit about both of those releases.
Okay. So the beginning of this year, I had dropped Jukebox Toons, which features Toxic, if I'm saying it right, The God Fahim, Chewy, Cash Fargo, just a lot of familiar faces and stuff like that. And I feel like that was like one of my best projects this year. But I also did projects with Jordan 420, Real Wolf Gang, and OG Process as well.
Yeah.
And just yesterday I had dropped the EP too, Morning Breakfast. So everybody go check that out as well.
Hey there, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick minute out to let you know about a couple different ways that you can support the podcast. One of the ways is by clicking that support the podcast button within your streaming platform. That is if you want to be a monthly supporter of the show. You can contribute either 99 cents, $5, or $10 a month. So that's the first way, and that's the more traditional way that we've had now for the last couple years. The other method that we actually just recently introduced is from our good friends over at Coffee. Coffee is a virtual tip jar. We have set our limit to a minimum of $10, but you can go make one-time, one-off donations. So if you visit coffee.com/the Proven Knowledge Podcast, you'll be able to donate. And all these different forms of donation go towards getting new guests every single week, getting potential sponsors on board to do giveaways, and overall just making the show better for you guys. So if you want to do that coffee link, it's ko-fi.com/the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Otherwise, again, look for that support the podcast button in your streaming platform if you'd like to be a monthly supporter. And I just want to say thank you guys for your contributions. And without further ado, let's get back into the episode. Yeah, for sure. I got to tap in with that one too, because I just saw you made the post about it recently. So I'm definitely going to have to tap in there. And Jukebox Toons, I love the diversity on there too, as far as the production styles and the features you brought in as well. And I saw you also had a beat from Stoic on there, who, you know, I've had on this show as well. And obviously you just mentioned a bunch of names that the listeners are familiar with. Wolfgang, Jordan E420, and OG Process, all those guys. You know, hats off to all those guys, because I know we both have worked with all those guys before. And they're just like you, man. They put in a ton of work, and they're always dropping material. And so I'm always impressed with what you guys are doing, because you're always putting in the work and grinding. So
appreciate you, man.
Absolutely, man. And is there anybody else you want to shout out? Maybe people you're working with now on upcoming music. Anybody you want to give a shout out to on this show that we should know about, who you've been working with?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of artists like in the city that I think people should check out, like Mag Rock, MAG Rock. Y'all go check him out. Quest from BP. Y'all go check him out. Marifa the Rasta. Go check him out. You know, that's pretty much it. Like, you know.
For sure. I'm definitely going to have to check them out. And I'm sure you're probably following them on social media, so it shouldn't be hard to find any of those guys. But I'll definitely be tapping in there. And I got to ask for sure, even about, you know, your creative process and kind of what you do when you're not creating. You know, what do you kind of do to free your mind or get inspiration? Any hobbies, any day-to-day activities that are kind of helping you lately to stay charged and stay motivated?
Absolutely. First off, I want to say exercising, keeping your body and your tempo and your brain going. That'll help. Eating right. But this is one thing about me. I stay in the studio 24/7. Like right now, I'm in the studio. So I stay in the studio. I'm always in the studio. But in my free time, I exercise. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
I can't even lie.
It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work always in the studio for sure. So
absolutely.
Yeah, and being able to have that time for yourself, even if it is a little bit of time, to kind of grind out something that you are passionate about. And like you said, taking care of your body and your mind is so important, because then you're able to have the space and have the energy to create. How important that is. And that looks different for everybody, honestly, but
right.
You know, I'm glad to hear that you can still make that time within your day to be able to do that, because it definitely goes a long way. Because when you are in the studio that much, it's like, you know, you kind of go a little crazy, you know what I mean? You kind of go a little stir crazy. So to be able to step away and do that
yeah,
is,
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yep. And we all can relate to that in our own way, like I said, I'm sure. So, but congrats on that, man. You know, congrats on being able to have that time. And I got 3 more questions for you. These are more life-related questions, ones I ask on every episode. The first one is, if you could go back 10 years ago and give yourself a piece of advice, or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you would do?
The first thing I would do is not pay for studio time and would have got my equipment when I first started music.
Yeah.
The second thing I would do is I would have taught myself how to produce then instead of later in the years. And I would have taught myself the business of having like a BMI or ASCAP back then as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but these are mistakes that all artists make,
Yeah.
you know. So like nobody should feel ashamed about that. All of us make some type of mistake trying to get to where we're trying to go.
Yeah. You always got to start somewhere, and then once you learn the tools of the trade, you know, and you pick things up, it gets easier as you go. So,
Right.
yeah, I definitely can agree with that and definitely resonate with that for sure. And if we flip that then and we say 10 years from now, where do you think you envision yourself in your life and your career in music as well?
In 10 years, I see myself just being a CEO, man. I can't even lie to you. I want to help others because, you know, I'm coming from a small town where, like, we really don't get too much shine. You know, the only people that really came from here is All Hail YT and Green City. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they're like big faces here. So, you know, I just want to help anybody that's really doing music from where I'm from.
Yeah. Be able to give back and kind of build a sense of community, which I think is super vital. No matter where you're from, to be able to do that is definitely important, and it's definitely great to give back to the next generation as well in that way.
Right.
So, yeah, man, that's awesome. And do you have any final words of wisdom today for the listeners?
Yes. Everybody out there that's listening, keep going for your dreams. If you could take one no, you could take a second no, but there's always going to be a yes out there, you know, and keep striving.
Yeah. There's always someone for you out there. Just got to keep looking, like you said. So, and man, I know you're doing that for sure, man, because you stay on the grind and you stay working. And like I said, man, thanks for wanting to come on the show today. This was like a rapid fire one, and you know, I'll definitely want to get you back on here for a part 2 eventually. But I'm gonna stay on the lookout for what you got coming up, all the new projects, anything you got in the works, man, and whatever I could do to support, just let me know. So thanks again, man.
All right, appreciate you, man.
Thanks everyone for listening today. That was episode 232. We'll be back this time next week. As always, hit that support button on your podcast streaming platform if you'd like to send any funds. And feel free to leave us that 5-star rating if you enjoyed today's episode. And as always, tune in on twitch.tv/AnthonyChurch24 for more in-depth and exclusive content every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. But until next week, thanks as always for listening. We'll see you then.